Okay, now something is very wrong. Something is very wrong, and we are talking about the Lucy Letby murder case, right? No, I cannot believe that the UK actually called this justice. Now, let us get into just who Lucy Letby is. Lucy Letby is currently serving 15 whole life orders after she was convicted at Manchester Crown Court of murdering 7 infants and attempting to murder 7 others, with 2 attempts on one of her victims between 2015 of June and June 2016. Now, Lucy Letby worked at the Countess of Cheshire Hospital at the time of the murders, and she's now considered one of the UK's most prolific child killer. Now, we have some evidence. As of Wednesday, the 8th of January 2025, we have a senior Tory MP, Sir David Davis, calls for Lucy Letby retrial. Sir David Davis says the former nurse's conviction was built on a poor understanding of probabilities and lack of hard evidence. I cannot believe it. And the UK call this justice. If you're going to send someone to prison for that amount of time and destroy their life, at least you should present some hard evidence. There is no hard forensic evidence. There is no video evidence showing this woman actually killing these babies. No. We are in a modern country, a powerful country, and they suspect that babies are dying. You would have think that those in charge by the hospital would have put into place hidden cameras. Hidden cameras to see just what is going on. Because in a case like this, we don't want hearsay, we don't want you say, we don't want I thought, I think. We want good, solid evidence, right? Not some poor probabilities, right? This is just unbelievable. But this case is very satanic and is very wicked to the core. And when I found out that the case was actually named Operation Hummingbird, I realized exactly what it was all about, right? Those 7 children, they were basically a blood sacrifice. You see, in the pantheon of Aztec deities, the hummingbird represents the sun god and god of war. And that particular god is exceptionally bloodthirsty. That god requires blood. And nothing appeases these gods like the blood of innocent children. Now, all we can say for sure is that 7 children die, right? And to the hospital and the area that this hospital is, I would guess that those 7 babies are 7 white babies. So 7 white babies, I suspect, 7 white babies are dead, and therefore someone has to go to prison. But I put a lot of responsibility on the hospital. Why didn't they have hidden cameras? Why didn't they have hidden cameras when the first child died, when they suspect something was going on? She had time, or whomever had time, to kill 7 whole babies and make attempt on others. And you still did not get anything on video camera. No good forensic evidence. But here we are talking about Lucy Letby going to prison for life. And you say, me say, hearsay. No good solid evidence. That's not good enough. I'm not saying she's innocent or guilty. I'm saying the hospital needs to be accountable. Because once you realize that babies are dying in the neonatal unit, you should have implemented a video surveillance system, right? Either public or secret, you should have done something. And now we have to be debating whether or not Lucy Letby is innocent or guilty. When all this case is is that those 7 babies were put up as a sacrifice to the ancient Aztec hummingbird god that is bloodthirsty, right? This god is known as the son and god of war and is represented as the hummingbird or the eagle. There is something demonic and wicked about this case. And they were basically looking for a weak fence, and they found that weak fence at Chester Hospital in so many different ways. Because trust and believe, had that been in Birmingham City, had children been dying in a neonatal unit in Birmingham City, UK, trust and believe they would have found the person that is killing from the first child die. And they could not explain how that child died. They would have set a trap. They would have set a trap. So the hospital needs to be accountable. But I tell you guys that the most demonic activity and the most demons and skinwalkers, they are in hospital and prison. They carry the most demonic entities walking around hospitals and prison. And if you are working in a hospital, you need to stay prayed up. You need to stay prayed up and understand someone can set you up just the same. Because this Lucy Letby case is just giving me a setup vibes. That's what I'm getting. And that's just me. Right? Because over here I split the justice. I see what this case is all about. It is a blood sacrifice. But I also see the life of a young person being destroyed. And I'm not going to take that lightly. Because the hospital needs to be accountable. Why didn't they implement video surveillance system? Because maybe they have done so and I've not seen that bit of evidence, right? But there should have been good video evidence in that neonatal ward. Now 7 babies die and somebody has to take the fall. So it doesn't matter what evidence is presented. Someone has to take the fall because they don't know what to tell the parents. Because the last thing they want these parents to find out is that their children were used for a blood sacrifice for a bloodthirsty sun god that represents the hummingbird. That is my opinion. That is just my opinion. Right? Nothing more than a blood sacrifice. This is absolutely sad. And it shows you the world that we're living in. And it shows you that anybody at any time can be put in a corner and be set up by this system. And that's why you have to stay prayed up. Right? You have to constantly stay prayed up, especially if you work in the prison system and in these hospitals. Because the most demonic entities work in these hospitals, the most skinwalkers, right? And they like to jump into people's bodies and use people. This could be the case in Lucy Letby as well, right? But the hummingbird gave it away for me. And my final verdict is nothing more than a blood sacrifice to the sun and war god that is represented by the hummingbird from the Aztec pantheon of gods. And Lucy Letby is nothing more than a weak fence working at that hospital. They realized that there's not a lot of video surveillance going on, so it was an easy spot. We need to pray and say, glory be to the Most High.